There's so much to admire with this film, from the writing and direction from Mr. Robert Eggers, who I truly believe is one of the great filmmakers of our time right now, from the exceptional production design, the costume design, this phenomenal ensemble of actors. What I really love about this film, though, is the way you feel after you watch it. There's like this physical feeling, there's this uneasiness, it's unsettling. And you maybe feel a little bit of darkness within you. And I think, honestly, my friends, that's when you know it's the good stuff. And so I'm really excited that we have a crew here to talk about this film, and I'm going to bring them out right now. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as Count Orlok, Bill Skarsgard. As Thomas Nicholas Hoult. I love saying this name, as Professor Von Franz, Willem Dafoe. Please get loud for this woman who is phenomenal as Ellen, Lily Rose Depp. And the writer and director of this picture, Mr. Robert Eggers. Oh boy, all right, let's dig in. Robert, let's set the table a little bit. The original 1922 classic, I know, has been with you your whole life. This is a film that you've wanted to make personally for a very long time. So how do you go about balancing sort of the nod to the classic while also infusing it with your own vision and your own unique spin?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and it's hard to answer with specificity. You kind of just have to use your judgment. But everything that I did that made it different, I did try to keep it tethered to what the Murnau film was doing. So, I mean, for example, in the Murnau film, Ellen becomes the heroine in the final act, and I thought that I could expand upon that by making Ellen the central protagonist for the whole film, and it would have the potential to be more emotionally and psychologically complex if we see everything through her eyes. And Max Schreck, his iconic performance I love so much, but what is he? He's some kind of a creature. Bill is a vampire from folklore, because of the sort of climax of the cinematic vampire evolution to Edward Cullen, who's heroic and sparkling and not scary. I wanted to have a scary vampire, so I went back to the folklore when people actually believed in vampires. And these early folk vampires were nasty running corpses, more like how we would picture a zombie looking, and that was exciting to me. So then the question became, like, what does a dead Transylvanian nobleman look like? And that's what it would look like. But because he is a dead human, but a dead human, he is also kind of a creature, which I think also acknowledges the Murnau version of the vampire.
You say you wanted, the film to kind of drive through Ellen as the main protagonist. So when you were looking for Ellen, what was it about Lily that really spoke to you and that convinced you that she was the perfect person for this role?
Well, I had a great meeting with Lily, and she, was very familiar with like major Dracula adaptations and some less famous ones, but she also immediately brought up Żuławski's Possession. And it was clear that she had my number and the character's number, and she did this an audition that was every bit as raw and powerful as what she gave on the screen, and it was just undeniable. I'm so Lily's performance is so jaw-dropping and so brave and also so precise. And I'm really proud of her work. But I also have to say that everybody in this cast came in with like a real hunger to go all the way, which is like, you know,
Yeah.
like you can't ask for anything better as a director than this kind of a cast.
No, without a doubt. And I completely agree. But Lily, I do need to give you your flowers. I mean, you are phenomenal in this film.
Thank you so much.
Just, yeah, please.
Thank you.
And yeah, I put Robert on the spot, so I have to put you on the spot a little bit. You know, when you get ready to do a Robert Eggers film, you can watch his other work and to get a sense of him. You could read his script to get a sense of him. But once you started working with him, what was something unexpected that you discovered about him as an artist that, you know, kind of that you weren't expecting?
Well, I think, you know, not that it was like I think I just was, you know, enlightened, you know, about the way that it was going to be shot. I mean, we've spoken a lot about how, you know, Rob and Jaron have like a very specific way that they shoot, you know, that they shoot their films, and that's why they look the way that they look and flow the way that they do. And not that was like a, you know, like a big surprise or something, but I guess it's just like it was part of the learning experience for me. It was a different way than I have shot before, and so it kind of, you know, it's it was a learning experience, learning how to like fold myself into the shots that were very much there, because they, you know, almost the whole thing is storyboarded before, and it is very precise, and so it asks of your performance to be precise as well. And so that was just part of the learning process for me to navigate this character in a way that was very much attached to a structure. But I'm super grateful for it, because it, you know, I like doing this because it challenges me and you know, pushes me to learn new things and, you know, learn you know, different people's ways of working and what it can bring out of me and how it can help me grow as an artist. So I was very grateful for that.
Yeah, one of the things I think is really brilliant about your performance is that it's multifaceted. There is this strong internal commitment there that's very powerful, and then of course there's this intense physicality to the role as well. Which aspect did you personally find the most challenging to deliver on?
I feel like, well, I don't know. It's an interesting question, because I feel like both of them really go hand in hand. I mean, the physicality is challenging, and it's demanding, and it's, you know, it's tiring. You have to, like, you know, you have to go for it, but at the same time, like, of course, the emotion is the real vulnerability in that. But they so go hand in hand that, like, at no moment in the movie do you have one without the other. I mean, of course, there are emotional moments that are not like hugely physical, but every physical moment is completely infused with the emotional, and is like the emotional, you know, trying to jump from the inside to the outside. And every emotional moment is like, you know, tormented by these like physical moments as well. So I in a way, they both had to go together. And I guess maybe the challenge was in like marrying the two, but also the pleasure as well.
Yeah, tremendous work, really.
Thank you so much.
Willem, sir, third film with Mr. Robert Eggers. Selfishly, please keep making more stuff together. This is one of the fun collaborations happening right now. So keep making more. But really great stuff. And you know, one of the things I love about you in Robert Eggers films, you look like you're just having the time of your life playing these characters. And Professor Von Franz is great. I mean, look, you read the script, you're going to get a lot from his script. His scripts are so detailed. There's a lot there, but you know, put down the script and put it aside. What was an unexpected place that you found inspiration for the professor?
Probably in the research, but you know, the thing that's great about Robert is he's so well prepared and everything's so rooted in research, and that may sound a little dry, but you learn things, so you have a shift of an understanding of something, and that really helps you enter the character. And then just as far as, you know, it strikes me that some directors, you know, are interested in shooting or actors or story, but they aren't interested in the whole thing. And the thing about Rob is he's the whole package, and he has a group of collaborators that he's worked with, has some departments that he's worked over and over, with, and they have shorthand, and they're like an extension of him. So everybody's working to realize what he sees, and I like that personally as an actor as well. So there's great structure, there's great preparation, and if I look like I'm having fun, it's because I feel free, because there's a structure there that allows me to feel like I have infinite possibility, because I don't waste my time, trying to define things, because it's set up for me. It's a beautiful setup. The world is set up, everything has an origin, has a purpose. It's the difference between, you go on a set, it's the difference between like a corporate business hotel and somebody's home. It's personalized. It has a feeling, and you enter that, and it tells you what to do. It pushes you along. So that's just that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's many pleasures.
That's the vibe. That's the vibe. Nicholas, sir, honestly, first of all, Thomas, feel for the guy. I wish he just listened to his wife. Listen to his wife.
The moral of the story.
Right? And that's a message that works in the 1830s and in 2024. Listen to your partner, and maybe things don't go sideways. But sir, I mean, I felt like you were going to places that I personally have never seen from you as an actor. And so I'm curious, what was something that you got to do and explore in this film that you haven't gotten to do as an actor yet, and maybe perhaps that had opened up your perspective a little bit to your craft in a different way?
That's a good question. You know what? That's something I was just thinking about when you were actually talking a moment ago. And I was thinking about deep fear in my life, and I was like, whenever I felt deep fear of something, it's always been very internal. I never actually expressed it, I suppose, in many ways. So there were a couple of days in the castle when Thomas was trying to escape, and Rob would be like, let's go, let's push it. And there were a couple of nights where I went home and I was like, all right, well, let's go back and figure out what it was, the things that really were terrifying to you, but you didn't have the chance to kind of express physically. And let's explore that a little bit. So there was something quite cathartic about that, I suppose, in some ways. Not that I'm someone who necessarily links my personal emotions to work, but there was something where I was like, oh, that's because I know the internal feeling, but I don't know what that is expressed externally. So it was interesting to do that. And also just because I was working with a director whose work I love and the performances he captures I adore, so I was excited to try and push and learn and bring more out myself. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
You're my favorite person.
Yeah. Mr. Skarsgard, sir, I have 1,000 questions for you. But, first, one thing that I learned that I thought was interesting was that Robert did craft a backstory for Orlok. It's a backstory that we don't get to experience as an audience, but I'm curious to know a little bit about, what was a little bit about what was in there, and how did it help you sort of craft your performance?
No, it was very helpful, and Robert shared with me his Orlok file, and this is 2 years before. This is during the process for me screen testing for the role, and in this Orlok file there was a lot of wonderful little gems, and the backstory was one of them, but also the design of the character that. I still think it's kind of incredible, but he had made a digital drawing of Orlok 2 years before we shot the film that looked like the guy. so it's unusual when you work with a filmmaker that is so precise and so his vision for the story is so solidified. And those are all wonderful tools for an actor, because he's really putting you towards a specific direction, and then once you throw yourself in that direction, hopefully you can surprise yourself and even Robert with what you come up with. But in terms of the details of the backstory, I think that's between me and Rob.
Is that something you do, Robert? On all your films, you create these files, these backstories?
Sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not. I think the reason why I had all these backstories for this was because in doing Nosferatu, you're trying to wrestle with your own hubris and your own lack of confidence, and it's so well known and it's so important to so many people. And so I needed to kind of find a way, as maybe terrible as it sounds, to have ownership over the story. So when I first started writing the script, I wrote a novella to really dig into the backstories of all the characters and the character relationships, and had lots of scenes that I knew would never be in the film, but would help define things like the Harding family, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson and Emma Corrin. I mean, that was the richness of their lives was something that was a massive part of the novella. And again, it's not no one, it shouldn't be read, but it was a tool. And and the Orlok backstory was helpful for Bill, but also shouldn't be read because there's like a mystery and enigma about Orlok that's lost if we know too much about him.
But there's some stuff in there. I know there's something about the sort of occult sorcerer aspect of him that was helpful for me to get sort of the perspective of why he ended up becoming what he is in the movie, and that was helpful for me to understand the psyche behind him.
Yeah, it's almost like it connects you to his humanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've heard you say that finding the voice of Orlok was one of the hardest things you've ever had to do as an actor, and I'd just be curious to know a little bit about how you developed that and why was it so difficult?
Yeah, I have a tendency to feel like every movie I just did is the hardest thing I ever done. And we're not coal miners.
Oh yes, we are.
But yeah, no, I worked a lot on the voice. I worked a lot on the voice, and it was a voice that I wanted the voice not to obviously feel like my voice, but also not even feel human. So there's technical aspects of trying to achieve it and then create the layers of it and also incorporating the breath in the way he speaks. And a lot of this was also detailed in the script and based off of conversations with Robert. But then so the breath informs the speech, and the speech the breath, and so forth. And yeah, it's weird because I don't know. My only way to do this particular voice was record, listen, and then find and then go like, okay, why was the voice greater Tuesday morning and on Wednesday afternoon it wasn't as good, so and that meant that I could kind of sort of figure out a little routine for myself to try to be as susceptible for the voice to come. Sounds pretty good now. Ooh.
But yeah, and it should be noted that while I have recordings on my phone that Bill sent me that sound exactly like Bill in the film. Like we didn't pitch it down. That's his voice. I mean, it sounds even better in Dolby Atmos. I admit, but that is his voice. And also the extreme physical stuff that Lily does is also her performance. There's no wire work. There's no tampering with the speed of anything, or even some people suggested CG. It's all hard work.
Which is phenomenal to learn that. Lily, one of the things I think is so interesting about this very toxic love triangle that we're in is that you have to find a way to craft this sort of intense desire for Orlok and never be physically in the same space until the very end. And so how did you go about crafting that desire alongside Robert for Orlok to make it feel as visceral as it does in the film, and you're never together?
Well, it was again, not to be no fun, but it really was there, in the script, and so too in the first conversations that we had about the character and her relationship to the other characters in the movie. It was clear that the relationship between Orlok and Ellen was not just one of haunter and hauntee. It was there's a real a real connection there and a desire and like a sensuality. Like I remember us talking a lot about how, you know, within our scenes together, specifically the last scene, that Rob wanted there to be like a palpable sensuality and desire, and while she is making, you know, a sacrifice for the greater good, she's also indulging in something that a part of her really wants and always has. And I think that Orlok is representative of so many things within herself that she is, you know, trying to come to terms with, and representative of, you know, any like repressed thoughts or feelings or wants that we may have that we don't, you know, that we don't indulge in. And so I think that, you know, it was important for that last moment not to feel like, you know, just like a sacrifice, but also like there was a pleasure in it as well. And it's, you know, it's like a scary movie and everything, but it's like a love story and a love triangle. And I think that, you know, to put it in like kind of quite modern terms, like it's, you know, you can see it as like Thomas is the, you know, the guy she should be with, and Orlok is kind of the guy she wants to be with, you know, which is again like a very simplified way of seeing it, but it's, you know, it's at its core, like that's there, you know. So it was important for us to feel that, and you know, she's not like a damsel in distress, you know, she has called out to him from the beginning, and she calls out to him in the end. And so I think it was important to feel, you know, not only her pain and her darkness and all that, but also her real, you know, desires.
Yeah, and that's what's so brilliant about that performance, is that you're doing some of that all at the same time in some scenes, and it's just incredible to watch. You know, Nicholas, poor Thomas again, but you talked a little bit about those castle scenes before, and I'd just be curious for you to maybe dig in a little bit. I was curious whether or not you shot all of that in order, in sequence, or if you jumped around, and you know, if you could talk a little bit about the set and the physicality of the production design, and then also sort of how you worked with Bill, and did you see him the way we saw him, a little bit at a time, or how was that played out?
We heard Bill first. Whilst Lily and I were at rehearsals, we heard a recording that Rob had on his phone, and that's when I think we were first like astounded by how special what he was creating, but also how authentic and real it felt in terms of what the truth of what his character would be. And then that's the wonderful thing about working in any movie that Rob's creating, everyone he collaborates with. It's all so rich and detailed and real, and it feels when you walk in there, like as actors we obviously have to use our imagination a fair bit, but there's so much work that's already done for you with the sets, with the castle, with this. You look in the corner and there's little bits of crumbling stone and things that you perhaps wouldn't picture you wouldn't see in the shadows of how it's shot, but then you're there and it feels completely real. So. And also the atmosphere on set in terms of Rob playing music and how Jaren lights as well. It wouldn't be like, oh, we're going to throw a load of fluorescent lights in between shots so that we can see everything that's going on. It would be atmospheric, so you'd be in that world, and that makes it easy for you, or easier, I should say.
Talk about those castle scenes, Rob, and that vibe that you set up. I mean, I was curious, like, was that shot in order, or how did you shoot?
I mean, because of actors' schedules and needing to wrap out sets and the complex lighting setups and also the fact that we often need to tear our sets apart in order to systematically to get the shots, because we never use Steadicam. All these long unbroken takes are always done with crane and dolly, so sometimes there's sets that have wild walls that can move in and out during a take, but then they're the castle sets were so substantial that the chamber that Hutter stays in, that we were constantly smashing walls out over the course of a couple months to make more room for whatever shot needed less and less walls around. So no, we weren't shooting in order, but yeah, we built virtually everything. Aside from the hospital, possibly every interior was a built set, and of course we built the backlot set of Visberg, but it was I mean, some of my other films, we've been out in crazy locations, like on the side of a cliff, side of a volcano, and you're just there in it. But because so much of this was on stage, I was playing music and creating sound design, very often to keep everyone marinated in the world, as Nick suggested, which is something I haven't done before, but it was fun. For me.
No, it's fun for us too to watch and experience. And I have time for one more question. And we talked a little bit about the castle. We talked a little bit about the final scene. Willem, I'd love to come to you for your perspective of the scene when von Franz first encounters Ellen, and she is, I think Aaron calls it raving. She's raving. Phenomenal scene. I think that scene is going to go down, etched in our memories as one of the great horror scenes ever. Really, truly. Curious to get your perspective on that scene and shooting that and watching Lily and do all of this stuff without VFX, and what was that scene like to shoot?
Well, I like doing scenes with Lily, and the character comes and he says, "She's not crazy, she's in the groove." I mean, he's the one guy that sees her, and he kind of helps her along the way. But it's all centered around Lily, so it's really the job there as an actor is the job as the character. The guy is helping her along the way, and he's trying to make these people understand, to not condemn it. He's trying to recognize and basically he's there in those. My actor capacity is my character capacity. So I enjoyed that. And there's lots of, since the shots are long and there's things like, a needle going through her arm and stuff like that, there's some trickery that you gotta finesse and not disturb her and, take the things and get rid of them. There's a little magic going on there, and that's fun to do.
Yeah, and Lily, I'll give you the last word in that scene. What was it like for you as a performer filming that?
It was amazing. It was beautiful, and I love the challenging stuff, and it was very technical. Like there's a lot of movement there that has to be right. There's also an emotion and an inner life that has to match, and then there's a camera that's moving in a specific way. You have to dance with it, and then but I'm surrounded by so many masters. I feel so I felt so honored. I was so it's very special, and I'm this is our last Q&A all together, and I'm very moved. I love you guys so much, and it was I'm gonna start crying. I'm gonna do the second crying first story of the year. But it was beautiful. It was and you can only go as you can only fly as high as your scene partners will let you, and I'm just so lucky to be surrounded by these guys. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Considering this is the last time we're all together, truly congratulations on some masterful work here, sir. Phenomenal stuff here. Robert Eggers, Lily Rose Depp, Willem Dafoe, Nicholas Hoult, Bill Skarsgard. My name is Eric Davis. The film is Nosferatu. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.